Hello my fellow developers, now it's time to actually create the functionality of create category. It's not going to be hard, so let's get through it. We need to create some queries. So to create a query that will talk to our database and return something, we need to actually go back to our source, and let me create a new folder. I'm going to call it queries, and we're going to separate every queries that's related to a certain functionality we are working at. So for example, if we're working on the category, this creates a file that's alone for the category. Okay, and if we have like stores, it's going to be a file for store alone. This way we have everything organized very well. So we need a queries of category. I just can go there and look for what I need to do. So I'm going to have some comments right here that are very important. So I'm just going to copy them right here. Those are very important, and I'm going to add them for every single function that I create because they explain the function very well, so you also can understand it. So the function is going to be called Upsert category. So I'm just going to zoom in again so you can see it clearly. And the description, it says Upsert a category into the database, updating if it exists or creating a new one if not. So this function is going to be 2-in-1. So we're going to go and simply say, if this category already exists in the database, we're going to update it with the new informations we sent. But if it doesn't exist in the database, that means we need to create it, and it will create it. Then for the permission level, it's admin only. So only admin can create the category right here. And then also for the parameters that this function can take is going to be the category objects, which means that we're going to send the category details there. Okay. And then we're going to see if the ID of it is in the database. As I told you, we're going to update it. But if not, we're going to just create a new one. And then for the returns, what this function is going to return is either the updated or the newly created category details. So this explains the functions very well, and I'm going to add it for every single function so you guys never feel like you don't understand what you're typing. And let's go one by one. So first of all, I'm just going to create the function. So export const and then Upsert category like this. We have done that, and then simply it's going to be an asynchronous function. It takes the category right here, which is going to be type of what category from Prisma. So we create it finally, and then after here we're just simply going to have a try catch. Try catch is very important so we can catch any errors that we have. So the first thing that we have to do is get the current user. How do we do that? Just simply const user and then await and then current user. We have done that many times. And then we take the imports outside. This is simply going to be here, and we don't have any space between those, but these ones have space between them. So let me just go to the top. This one is going to be for clerk, and then this one is going to be for Prisma model. So this is the Prisma model. You can even have space between them like this. So when we get the user, the reason for it is because we're going to make sure, first of all, that the user is authenticated. Okay, we got to ensure again that the user is authenticated. And how do we check? Simply when we get the user, if there is no user, that means we don't have the user logged in. So we're just simply going to throw a new error right here like that, and we can send an error that says unauthenticated like this. And then after that, we need to verify the admin permissions, because only admins are allowed to access this or actually perform this action. Only the admin can access a category. Okay, so we have to check this. We already talked about how we can access that. We can just simply go user, and then we access the private metadata. So the private metadata, and then we look for the role. And if it's anything different than the admin, that means this user is not allowed. So what we have to do simply right now, we can throw new error also, as we have done before. And this error, we can say something. Let me just copy paste this error and paste it right here. And it says unauthorized access admin privileges required for entry. So that's good. Now we have verified the admin permission. If you want to verify if it's the seller, you can just change the seller, etc. Very simple. Now, the other thing that we need to do, we have to ensure that the category data is provided. So we can just go right here and do the same thing here. We're going to check if the category does not exist. The category is just simply the category information we pass in right here. So if it doesn't exist, we need to throw an error. And this is some very, very good coding, guys. This is very organized and very simple. We go step by step to ensure everything is working fine and the way we want to. So throw new error like this, and then simply the new error, I'm just going to copy this one, and it's going to say please provide category data right there. Okay, but now it comes another part that is very important. Now we're trying to create a category, but let's say this category name or URL is already in the database. We cannot allow to create a category with the same name or with the same URL. That's not allowed. So we have to check for that. So we got to go to the database first and actually say, see if they are there. It's just simply not going to allow it. We're going to ask the user and tell him, well, name or URL. We're actually going to specify that the name, for example, already exists, or if you see the URL, we're going to say the URL already exists. So how do we do that? We're simply going to go const, and let's call this existing category, for example, existing category, like this. And this simply, we got to go to our database. So we're going to await, and then DB, we already created that. And this one, we're just gonna have it right here. Let's call this DB, like this, and let's go back. So DB, and we're going to look for what? We're going to look for the category, and then we're going to find first. So if they found it only once, that means it shouldn't be, okay? So we need to change the name or the URL depending. So we're going to go right here, and we're going to say where, because we're going to look where, and then simply we're going to have two things. So we're going to use and right here, and right here, and it takes an array right here. We're going to have the first object right here. It's going to have or, and then simply we're going to open the array right here, and we're going to say if one of them exists, if one of them has the issue, like the name already exists or the URL already exists, we're going to have the problem. So let me open the objects right here, and for the name right here, we're going to look for it by what? By the category we are passing dot name, like this, very simple. And then the second that we're going to look for is also using the URL, which is going to be the category we are passing dot URL this way. So it's gonna verify both. So if the name exists there or the category URL exists there, that means we have an error. And then simply when we do that, we can just for example, we're trying to update. Let's say we're trying to update. This name or this URL is already going to be there. So that doesn't mean we're going to stop everything, because when we update it, even if it's there, I have the right to update it. So we have to specify. That's the reason I'm using and right here, because I have to look for this for one of them. That's why I'm using or. So either the name or the URL exists, but I have also to specify. Let's open another object right here, and it's going to say not. That means it doesn't meet this requirement right here, or this condition. And the condition is that it couldn't be the same category that I'm trying to update. So it couldn't be the same category .id. So we're going to look by the ID. That means, let me explain it for you if you didn't understand this, because this seems a little bit complex, but it's not. And very simple. I'm trying to create a category, okay? I'm gonna look into database. If I find another category with the same name or the same URL, I'm gonna come back with an error message that says, well, you cannot create the category with the same name or the same URL that already exists in the database. Very cool. But I cannot go and look for the same category I'm trying to update. Like for example, I have this category with the name shoes, but I'm trying to update it. If I went to the database and looked for a category and found it, oh, name shoes, I can update this one. Why? I have the right to update it even though it's the same name or URL. That's why we are using and, because we want to try to see both conditions met. The first condition, either one of them met, we're going to send an error. So if the name is there or URL is there, we have an error, and we're going to specify exactly what's the error. But also we got to make sure that it's not the same category I'm trying to update, because even if it's the same name, I have the right to update either that information, which is name, or other informations, because this is not a new information I'm trying to create. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to explain right here. So this is it. And now I hope you understand this. Now let's actually, if the error is there, we need to create an error message. So through error, if category with the same name or URL already exists. So we're gonna check if this is existing. So if it does exist, that means we have an error. So let's create an error message right here and fill it depending on which one has the error. So let's error message right here, which is gonna be in the beginning empty. And then we can check if the existing category dot name is equal to the category we have dot name. So if they are the same name, that means the issue is in the name. So what we have to do, we just got to go to our error message and actually say that the problem is within the name. So I'm just gonna copy that, guys, and just paste this right here. So a category with the same name already exists, so you can do that. And then we're gonna do the same test again, but this time for the URL. So existing category dot URL equal to what? The category dot URL, and then simply we're just gonna put the error message is gonna be now a category with the same URL already exists, so we can't have that. That's good. So now I hope you understand this. We're going step by step. This is going very well. So when we do that, after that, we need to actually send the error. So I'm just going to go throw and then new error. And the error that we're going to send is the error message. The error message is going to be this one right here. Okay. So, and that's good. So what if now we have to actually upsert the category into the database? So I'm just gonna go right here and upsert the category into the database. So I'm just gonna go cons and then category details, and we're just gonna go await and then db.category and then .upsert. As I told you, upsert either updates or creates. So upsert right here, we're gonna look for the ID. So the ID is the category.id, and then simply under where right here, we're gonna, if it does exist, we're gonna update it with the same category that we pass in. But if also it doesn't exist, we need to create it with the informations we pass in the category. It's actually so simple to do. And then as I told you, we're gonna return the category details right here, and we're gonna try. And now after that, sorry guys, and then under right here for catching the error, I'm just simply, you can console log the error, but this is only for development. I'm just gonna do that, and then at the end I'm just gonna throw the error back at us. So this way how you actually create or upsert a category, or rather say. Okay, so now we have to go back to our form right here. So let's say, where is it? So this is the handle submit. So the handle submit, which is gonna have a try catch also. So I try catch right here. So first of all, we need something, but let's not do that now. I'm just gonna go to try and just upserting the category data. I'm gonna add this comment right here. So simply right here, all I need to do is I'm gonna go const and then response, and then I'm gonna go await, and then I'm gonna call the function which you use to upsert the category. So upsert category right here, we need to import it, and it will be imported from queries. So let me see where it is. So right here, and we can add this as on queries like this, and go back. So we upsert the category. We need to pass the informations for the category. So first of all, we need to pass the ID, which is going to be if the data.id exists. So if it exists, we're going to pass that. So data.id. But if it doesn't, we need to generate an ID for it. And if you go back to our Prisma schema, if you see the ID, it's generated using UUID, which also happens to be a package that can be used in the client side or any place. So I'm just going to go bun add and then UUID, and this one is going to allow us to generate an ID for that. So we can just go right here and go to the top. Let me just go, let's add another import, which is going to be for utils, and just simply import and then version 4 from UUID. What is it? Like this. And we can just simply run the function, which is v4, and it's going to generate an ID for us. This is for the ID, but it's going to say we need other information. So we need the name. So the name right here is going to be what? Don't add the data.name right now. And the reason for it is that we have to actually add the proper values that is typed now in the input. Let's say the input now is empty. I type something. This value that is typed in the input is going to be stored in the values right here in the form. So when it's stored there, I can actually just add it or extract the ones I need from here, which is this one, which is the values we have right here, and not the one that is in the data. Because by default, if you have an existing data, the values are going to be those existing data. So we always have to add the ones in the values. So like this. So values, and then we're going to go dot name right here. Okay, if it does exist. If not, it's just going to add an empty string there. And also that's not going to be allowed with the verification we added in Zod. So it's always going to be a proper value there. So for the image right here that we need to pass, if you see in the values.image right here is going to be an array that has a property. So if you go back, let me show you again. This is very important to understand it first, and then later I'm not going to explain it again. Because if you go to the image property or the values we have in the category, is going to be an object that has the property URL inside an array. So this image is an array. So we have to access the only value that is going to be there, then .url. Okay, that's very important. Then the URL after that is going to be what? Is going to be the values, and then .url like this. And then we need the last two. We need another thing first of all, which is featured that I didn't add. So featured right here, which is going to be also values, and then .featured. And then the last two things is going to be the created and updated. The reason I'm asking for him, I could not ask for him by just going to the category right here. Instead of category, I make it partial category. But the reason I need is because Let's understand something. When you create something into the database without adding them, it's gonna add them by the time of the server of the database, which could be different than yours. So we have to specify as an admin. It always gives me the time of the actual time of my my country or whatever, the exact time that I add it myself. That's why we add them from the client side, or actually whatever, it doesn't matter, the server side. As now we are adding this in the server side, in the function we're going to pass in the server side, but we are sending it from the client side. This is just as a side note. So in the client side, we can actually use the browser to get the time, just using JavaScript, normal JavaScript, and we can send that because that's going to be our actual country or city time, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So for the created ad, which is going to be the same as the updated ad, we're just going to go new date, normal JavaScript function like this. And this way, I'm just going to go again, and this one is going to be the updated ad. And as you can see now, for this one I have, because it could not exist sometimes, so you have to specify optional chaining right here because it could be undefined. So data.id, and then if it exists, it's going to be data.id. This one is not needed because if it exists already, we don't need that. And if not, we're going to generate that ID there. So this way we can create that. So after that, we need to show like a little message that it's been created. So we need to add toast. So for this one, I'm just going to go to the tab right here. Okay, this UUID. Oh yeah, it needs the type. So let me add the types for this one. So I'm just going to go bun add, and then add types, and then / UUID. This is just the TypeScript types. So for type safety, let me just go now. Yeah, it is fine. So now what we need to do, I'm just going to go before adding the form. I'm going to add initialize and necessary hooks. The first one is going to be the toast. Okay. So this one, we're going to just import the use toast, which exists in the Shadcey in UI components. Automatically just add that and it will add it. And if you remember, let me just go back into my, what is it? Let me just go back to app and then layouts right here. We have the theme provider right here, but we didn't add the toast provider right here. So we need to add that so it can work also for us. So we need to do that. So going back to our layout right here, go to the top, let me actually import them. So I'm just gonna add the imports right here for toast and Sonar toast. Both, let me change the name right here, Sonar toast. So now let me add them both here. So I'm just gonna go here, I'm just gonna add that and also go back and add Sonar toast again. So I'm just gonna go right here and this one also. And we can even specify like the position. So I can specify the position, the series properties. This one is not customizable as this one. So this one takes the position, I'm just gonna make it bottom right or left. So either you want to be on the right or on the left. So yeah, it doesn't matter. So I'm just gonna have bottom left there. So after adding the two, now we can actually use them in our application. I'm gonna use toast primarily for now. We just simply, let's go back to our category right now. The category, we're gonna go to here, and simply now that we have added the there, this is like when adding it in the layout right here, now we have the access to it. Now we can use it because it's like adding the provider here. Okay, so now we have to go back here and we have toast. Now we can actually use it to show a message. So I can go back here. So after here, I'm just gonna display a success message, and all I need to do is just go and look for toast. So toast right here, and just simply specify what I wanna show. So it takes few, so it can take like not this way, so this way it can take the title. So we can pass the title right there. Okay, so there's also the variant. So if it's either error or success, etc., this one is going to be success by default, so you just add the title. But the title is going to be depending if we are actually updating or actually creating. So if you are creating, you won't have a data.id, but if you have it, that means you are updating. So depending on that we can show. So for example, if the data.id exists, that means we can show a message, sorry, data right here .id. So that means we are updating. So let me just add the option of chaining right here. So if it exists, that means we are actually updating. Else we're just going to show a message on creating. Okay, so let me just copy the messages. So I'm just going to copy everything. It's very simple. So let me get the full toast here like this. So simply the title of it or the message we're going to show. So depending if the data.id exists, that means we are updating. So when we are updating, we're just simply going to say category has been updated. If not, we're going to say the category is now officially created, but we need to add the response. And the response, where is it? Oh, sorry, what did I add it? I am actually very dumb. So I'm just going to go after here and add it here. So we have the response. Now we have to add it inside the under submit. I just went under the toast and started typing. That's fun. So now that we have added there, we have to actually redirect. So we need to redirect or refresh. The reason for it, so when we are updating, I'm just gonna refresh because I want to stay on the same page. But if I am creating, I want to actually go to another page, which is gonna be like a table that has all the categories. Okay, so I'm just gonna add here under here, I'm just gonna add redirect, and then simply if data exists, if data.id again, so if data.id exists, we need just to refresh. So I can go router.refresh. So we need to actually get router. So I'm just gonna go right here and just simply under here, I'm just gonna add router, just using the use router from Next navigation, and this is a hook for routing. So router has, you know, few functions that I've explained in my Next.js course. So router, we're gonna go just simply push or refresh or whatever, because we want to refresh. So I'm just gonna go and refresh, and this is refreshing the data without actually refreshing the page. Okay, and that's it. The second thing is that we actually create, and that means we need to redirect. So else, and then we just simply call redirect, or you can actually, if you don't want to, you can just use the router we already, you know, just called, and we can use the push function, and we can go to / what. Well, here I'm just gonna go / dashboard, and then / admin, and then / categories, and this page is the page that we're gonna have all of them there. So for the error right here is gonna be type any, so let's add it this way here, and then simply we can console log the error first. So let me go console log error if we have an error there, and also we can just simply, let me add this comment right here. It's very nice. So when we copy this component, we need it again, it's gonna have all these nice comments. So for just simply, I'm gonna have a toast right now again, and this one, it takes the variance is gonna be destructive. This is gonna be the red one, then the title is gonna be this one, and then the description. The reason I use the title here because it's the bigger text, so I want to be like fully there. Or you can actually have a title that says category created, and the description it says your category with the name is created. Okay, just is now created officially. It's like Mbappe coming to Real Madrid. I'm adding officially there. So yeah, I'm doing this way. So I'm just gonna go description. You have to actually transfer it to a string for it to show. I've tried this without it, but it wouldn't work because the error comes in a weird form. I don't know what it is, but you have to actually add the toString for it to be added there. So now let me actually going back to our code right here, and now everything comes to this. So what is it? Again, same issue we have fixed before. Oh, I need to actually bundiv again. All right, so let's switch right now, and let's see if this is gonna work. And also when doing that, I'm gonna go back here, and I'm gonna also show you something. I'm gonna go do bun, and then prisma, and then studio, and then enter. And then studio, enter. I'm gonna take this. Let me go back here and also open that. Let me open this here. So this one, we have no category, so it's empty, but now that's gonna change. So I'm gonna go and add an image. So I really don't know what to choose from here. I'm just gonna add like this one. I'm just gonna go done, and I can go with the name. I can say like man shirts or something, or I'm just gonna go, the category is gonna be / man, and then shirts like this. Man like this, and this one is going to be featured. So let's create the category. So it says clerk and user are only supported in app router, app directory if you are using / pages. Oh, yeah, I know what's the problem. It's very simple to see, like I already know it because it's clear. In the category, we have to specify this is as a use server, okay? Because we only can access that on this server. So use server. This is also very important. Every query file you add, you have to actually add that use server. So now let's go back, unless, oh, we have to do this again. Come on. Let's do it again. Okay, we have nothing to do better than just keep typing. So I'm just gonna go okay, you can't even give me something. Man shirts, come on, man. And then also we can go man, and then shirts, and then featured, and let's create. Come on now. You see, it works. Congratulations, man shirts is now created. And as you can see, it redirects us to the / admin and then categories page. Okay, so now we need to see it here because that's what's important, and you're fresh and you can see it here. So we have it, and the name is man shirts, the image is there directly as a string. We have the URL, and also we have its feature to be true, and this is the time it's added, is the actual time I have right here, which is what we want to. Okay, And as you can see, that's it. So we have been able to do it. You know, some things take a little bit of time, but as you can see, we have done like a template we can use. So whenever we want to try to create something, we can use this form, and just it has all the important things we need. It has the messages, it has also the comments, etc. And whenever we need to create a new query, we also have it like this. We can just copy with the comments and just change them depending on the function, and that will keep our code very organized and very easy to understand by you guys. So yeah, this was it for this video. Hope you learned something new, and see you in the next video as usual.